So after Ohio Star Bowl, I just got the feeling that, it's a feeling of being excited more on getting onto the plane to fly home than it is, you know, to fly to the next event. And that's kind of obvious already. So I didn't want to drag, the cat for too long.
I want to ask this question delicately.
Oh, you can just ask. It's okay.
Well, I would say that for a lot of us that don't know you or Tatiana personally, the announcement of your retirement was kind of shocking. Number 2 in the world, incredibly accomplished dancers, incredibly eye-catching and moving, and just you're really, really good. We'll just put it that way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the decision to retire, I guess, if you're willing to share, what led you to that decision? And then if it's not those 3 individual driving factors that I kind of mentioned, where does your drive to stay in ballroom dance come from?
Well, to mention about the decision, you see, I think any right decision, right meaning for the individual who's making it, I think it's always a surprise or a shock to the rest of the world, because ideally that person doesn't really talk about it. They don't really make it public. They don't really make a scene about, and they don't necessarily, they don't marinate publicly over it, in my opinion. I think it's a shock to the rest of the industry. Maybe I could see that because, it was a private decision between Tatiana and I. So I could only tell you that that's why it seemed that way. Normally, what I don't like, honestly, is when people already are starting to say that you should retire, or that you're getting, it's like you're starting to get comments, have you thought about retiring, or when do you think? Okay, so that's already too late.
Yeah.
That's it. The ship has sailed, and you are still, on the marina. And so I never wanted to be that person. I knew that for a fact. I wanted to go on my own time, and slightly earlier is better, in my opinion. Well, slightly earlier, again, compared to the viewer's opinion. For me, it was just right. For me and Tatiana. Tatiana, however, wanted to dance another year. That's kind of whether people know that or not. But when we were discussing it, also this decision is not made the day before we retired. You have to understand that. So a lot of people may say, well, already COVID-19 started, in late January and mid-February, and so we retired at NYDF in late February. Well, obviously not. We made the decision to retire in, I believe, at the end of the year, meaning after Ohio Star Ball, during the whole December time, Christmas time. I personally, I'm older than Tatiana by 11 years, and that is a pretty decent generation gap, to the point where she could easily continue, or her career still has time. And I've danced for quite a long time, And so for me, the time was right that I wanted to focus on other things in my life. And I enjoy my teaching. I love putting effort and energy into that. And I always felt that dancing is a selfish process. It's in a good way. Or whichever way you want to look at it, but basically it's something you do for yourself, or for the partnership, but then each person is also doing it for their own reason. And so it's a self thing. And I basically got tired of doing it for that purpose. I'm married, I would like to start a family. So to continue doing something more selfish, so to say, and try to also, pair that up with the normality of life, I think is a conflict, personally. So after Ohio Star Bowl, I just got the feeling that, it's feeling of being excited more on getting onto the plane to fly home than it is, you know, to fly to the next event. And that's kind of obvious already. So I didn't want to drag, the cat for too long. And so Tatiana wanted to do another year until USDC of this year. And, now we laugh about it. When we did it, of course, I said, look, I won't be able to do another year. I know that for sure. So we either planned on retiring at USDC, which is a customary thing to do. But again, who says that I have to retire at any competition? I'll retire when I retire. So my whole thing was, I will go on my own time. And Eugene Kasselman is one of our main coaches and a good friend of mine. And we wanted to he was actually the reason we came together as a couple. He brought us together, had us try out together. So it was just a nice full circle to do it at his event. And all my coaches that I've ever worked with were there. Some of them were judging, some of them just came to privately be there, for that day. And I couldn't have not asked for a better time. It's just that I know what you're saying, Samantha, in terms of, or what the industry thought was an abrupt type of thing. It's because we're used to people announcing it for the whole year. And maybe we're used to people talking about couples needing to retire for too long. And so maybe we're used to that, but I wasn't going to be one of them.
I think you bring up a good point that it is less shocking when a couple at the top of their game announces their retirement at the end of Blackpool or at the end of USDC, kind of those mile markers, or end of Ohio, those large competitions that the industry kind of sees as like, this is either the beginning or the end of a season. So we know going into next season who the players are. But I also completely understand you wanting to make a decision in the right time, in the right way for the two of you, and avoid that, well, they've been in the industry for a while, so maybe it's time, right? You want to pull a Michael Jordan. You want to go out at the top of your game when no one can say maybe they stuck around for too long.
Right.
Which I think makes sense.
Well, again, if we were to go by the rule of retiring at a major event, I would have to wait until either Emerald Ball, which is in the middle of the year, or USDC, which would mean I would have to dance another whole year, which I was not. I would literally take a sharp stick in the eye, like easy, okay, like 2 sticks, or if not USDC, then Ohio. So you had all these postponed, and now we're sitting here in beginning of August, locked down, and who knew that there will be no USDC, and there will be no Emerald Ball. It is unfortunate, of course, but I could not imagine not retiring and waiting until this year. And honestly, there's no way that I would come back from this break. There's just no way. But it would be a bit of a bitter end, because that desire to retire at a known event would totally backfire and not allow me to finish my career publicly, where I thank all the individuals that contributed to everything that I've done.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Hindsight 2020. You 100% made the right decision by announcing it.
Yeah, honestly, not knowing anything, because it was just, again, obviously stars aligned and things happened. But we made that decision at the end of 2019, not knowing anything for next year.